Welcome to Perimenopause Hell. This video addresses some of the problems that we hear about in connection with the Vaginal Moisturiser Replens. We often hear what I think is unfair criticism of this product in the group. I think it's a very helpful product and I've used it myself. The fact is, of course, women don't like having to use products for vaginal atrophy because they don't like having vaginal atrophy, and they would rather that their vagina just stayed the same way it was when they were 20. But sadly, that isn't how life is. There are other products available, such as Vagisan. One used to be called Yeast VM. There's one called Gynofor, I think. There's all sorts of different vaginal moisturisers. We recommend Replens because it's sold absolutely everywhere. You can go to a supermarket and find it. You can go to a pharmacy and find it. You know, it's all over the place. Replens as a product has been around a very, very long time. I remember seeing it in women's magazines when I was a girl. So it really is a very old product. And that probably means it's a popular and a good product. However, some of the unfair criticisms are based on the following problems that we're going to look at. Problem number 1. Oh no, there are white bits in my discharge. Replens doesn't cause this. What usually happens is that before you started using Replens, your vagina had been dry for a long time. And so when you start using a vaginal moisturiser, what happens is that the layer of very dry skin in your vagina peels. This sounds unpleasant, and it is a bit unpleasant because that layer of dead skin sloughs off of your vagina and it comes away as the white bits. And some women think this is like bits of toilet paper, or they think it is a yeast infection or whatever. No, it's just dead skin. I know that's unpleasant, but you can't odds it. It's just something that's going to happen. And when your skin inside your vagina is more moisturized, as you come to use the product twice a week, and also use it at night when you're lying down, otherwise it won't soak in. Once your vagina is more moisturized, it should stop happening. Problem number 2. Replens gave me a yeast infection. Well, actually, it probably didn't give you a yeast infection. What happens in perimenopause and menopause is that the pH level of your vagina changes and it gets very dry. So that makes you more prone to get yeast infections anyway. But what happens when your vagina is really dry is that the yeast has nothing to eat because you're so dry. And so it just dries up and nothing really happens, and you don't notice that you have a yeast infection. So when you start using a vaginal moisturiser of any type, all that yeast goes, food, and it just tucks in the moist vagina that is now around it, and it reproduces, and voila. It seems like the product has given you a yeast infection, but actually it's something that likely you already had the yeast, and now it's just kicking off because it's got a nice moist vagina to live in now. So what you do in these circumstances is treat yourself for the yeast as you would have done years ago with Canesten or Monistat or whatever is the product that you usually use, and continue to use the vaginal moisturiser. Problem number 3, people say, oh, it isn't organic, it contains palm sugar or whatever, and okay, maybe it's not great in terms of the ingredients, but it works quite well. I know because I've used it myself. I have more reason than most to have bad reactions to things because I have lichen sclerosis and psoriasis. So if anybody's got a sensitive vagina, it's me. And honestly, I've found it fine. One of the things you should ask yourself if you find that you're very concerned with ingredients in things is this a manifestation of health anxiety? Are your worries really reasonable? I don't think you are going to find a product that is 100% organic. And so having worries about something isn't really helpful. You need to treat the atrophy. So if you don't want to use Replens, that's fine. There's lots of other products. Go ahead and use something else, but do use something. Not treating atrophy is a massive mistake. Once you've been 2 years or so and you haven't treated it, a lot of those problems become permanent. So if you have atrophy symptoms, you must treat it for your quality of life in your future years. And it will be something that you treat until you die. That's the fact. I don't really like to be the harbinger of doom, but unfortunately, that's just how things are. Anyhow, that's the end of this presentation. I hope you found it helpful. Some of you, no doubt, are still convinced that Replens did you wrong, but those are the facts as I see them. Do give me a thumbs up if you liked it. You can come and join one of our groups if you like. We're on Facebook. The link is in the description box below. We are also on MeWe, and I have Twitter as well. So thank you for listening, and cheerio.